Thank you for staying for the news. Let's start with our first story. Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma says he disagrees with the United States travel advisory alert on LGBTQI travelers. Now, the U.S. government last week updated its travel advisory alert after its ambassador, Virginia Palmer, warned of a possible blacklisting and ban on Ghanaian business dealings if the anti-LGBTQI plus was passed in its present form. Now, speaking to the media in Accra, Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma insisted Ghana was a sovereign nation and that it would stick to its position on such matters.
Honorable, the U.S. Embassy has upgraded Ghana. According to them, we have laws that puts us to the person who LGBT. Are you worried about that?
We disagree with them on that. Is there any other question?
We are a sovereign nation. What are we doing to that?
We disagree with them on that. We'll continue with what we believe is our governance principles.
Now, the Cybersecurity Authority says it is unable to investigate and successfully prosecute many of the reported cyber attacks, including child pornography, cyberbullying, and sextortion, among others, due to its inability to track and identify the associated sources. Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Ntwibwesiako, speaking at the press launch of the Global Conference on Cyber Capacity Building in Accra, said the authority was moving heavily to awareness creation and education to deal with the existent gap.
Currently, the law criminalizes extortion, which, as a journalist, you know, that's the most rampant form of what? Cyber attack targeting our teenagers. And we have evidence of that provision being used to prosecute people who have caused harm to some of our young people. So that is just the legislative standpoint, and I think that was crucial. To deal with this from the criminal justice standpoint, you need a law. We have done that. You won't find many African countries having that. Again, in context. But I have also mentioned that even, and my colleagues are here, I wish them to admit to that, even the wealthy countries, Chris, you've been a prosecutor of a U.S. government. Now, cybercrime cases, not even the wealthy countries like Chris' country, can successfully investigate, prosecute, and adjudicate more than 10% of cases that are reported. Let's say if you take our national set, almost every attempted attack or successful attack, sometimes tracing becomes almost impossible. Even when you trace, attribution becomes almost impossible. In other words, what I'm saying is, it is extremely difficult to just target investigating and prosecutions. Awareness creation becomes the most important tool to reduce this. And I think the authority, what we are targeting is, if we are able to, and I want to situate the same example to Momo fraud, if we are able to educate the public, educate extensively, that means it has to go beyond Joy FM discussions or assassin, but going to, because Momo is everywhere, isn't it? If we are able to go to every part of the country to raise awareness that some of these schemes are socially engineered, we're likely to prevent 75% of Momo cases. Then you allow law enforcement to handle about 25%, and even you give them a target. Out of the 25%, if they can successfully investigate and prosecute 5% of that, that is a major success. I think we need to understand cybercrime is not like a traditional crime.
In our next story, the country director for non-governmental organization ActionAid Ghana, John Nko, is asking development partners to prioritize provision of infrastructure and furniture for basic schools in the country. He observes that this will enhance academic work. Now, Mr. Nko made this statement at Konchiri, where ActionAid Ghana donated 147 wooden and metal desks to pupils of Konchiri Basic School. Here's Rafiq Salam's report.
One major challenge faced by basic schools across the country is the issue of inadequate furniture. Available statistics from the Ministry of Education estimated the number of basic school pupils without dual decks in the country pegged around 2.2 million. Narrowing the figures to the Jiriba municipality, Jiriba Municipal Director of the Ghana Education Service, Hudu Alkali Kunate, said the municipality has a furniture deficit of 10,000. The situation is Araba West at Mankuru Konchuri that has 133 pupils who are sharing less than 30 benches.
So we have a deficit of about 10,000 sitting places in our municipality, which we are struggling with in almost all the schools. And I want to come to Konchuri itself. We have 133 people in the school here, 133. And it will also introduce to Mr. Chairman that we are also sharing, these 133 kids are also sharing less than 30 benches. That was actually bequeathed to the school by Reverend Beradik some 13 years ago.
Concerned about the plight of the pupils, Akin Aid Ghana, a non-governmental organization, came to their aid and donated a total of 147 wooden and metal furniture to the school. In addition, 2,000 school bags are also procured for onward distribution to pupils in 32 communities across the Jiriba municipality. Akin Aid Country Director for Ghana, John Nkao, used the opportunity to call on development stakeholders to prioritize the provision of infrastructure and furniture at schools to aid in effective teaching and learning.
The furniture will benefit the classes from the KG level to the junior high school level to aid in effective teaching and learning and contribute towards improving learning outcomes. It is gratifying, ladies and gentlemen, to note that the furniture will benefit about 212 pupils in the school, and that will go a very long way in addressing the furniture gaps of the school. And we take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to continue to call on our development stakeholders to prioritize the provision of furniture and school infrastructure across the country. We call on government in this regard to continue to do what it has been doing to enhance educational development in Ghana, particularly with the provision and enhancement of educational infrastructure and also the provision of furniture across many schools.
Now, the Bono Regional Executive Secretary of the National Peace Council, Suala Abdallah Kwanda, has re-echoed the need for political parties to refrain from using religion in political campaigns as the 2024 general election draws near. He states that religion is a deeply personal and sacred aspect of every individual's life, and exploiting it for political gain is not only unethical, but also destructive to the societal fabric. Mr. Kwanda spoke at a forum on religious, political, and socio-cultural tolerance to mark the International Day for Tolerance held at Winchi in the Bono region. Nesta Kafui Ajoma has more in this report.
Mr. Kwanda said integrating religious rhetoric into political campaigns creates divisions among communities, fosters hostility, and hinders the progress of the nation.
The integration of religious rhetoric into political campaigns creates divisions among communities, fosters hostility, and hinders the progress of our nation. Political leaders and aspirants must use the power they hold to share public opinion in a matter that fosters national harmony and development. It is imperative that they promote tolerance, respect for one another's beliefs, and focus on their shared values and unite us as a people.
The Bono Regional Secretary of the National Peace Council urged every Ghanaian to be champions of tolerance.
The Bono Regional Peace Council decided to organize this program by bringing stakeholders from religious leaders, both Muslims and Christians, traditional authorities, political parties and civil society organizations, for us to discuss and have a forum on how do we deepen the already existing, especially good relationship between Muslims and Christians in Ghana through tolerance. So it's a public education on tolerance for people to appreciate diversity and then understand that differences exist, and they exist naturally. Whether we like it or not, they are there. And then what is important for us is to manage these differences in such a way that it does not become a problem, it does not degenerate into violent conflict, and it does not create animosity, hatred among ourselves. And to ensure that we use these differences as a yardstick to make sure that we have sustainable peace. Because it is only with sustainable peace that Ghana can enjoy prosperity. It is only with sustainable peace that we can have sustainable development.
The Wenchi Municipal Chief Executive Alexander Obodamwa called on the people of Wenchi to support the Peace Council towards achieving peace through tolerance.
Nanache, let me again affirm the confidence you repose in the Peace Council and hope to count on the unflinching support and cooperation of members and all gathered here, that collectively we will work towards the achievement of peace we all yearn for.
In our next story, the Ghana Grid Company Limited has successfully completed a rehabilitation project for the Eswei community in the Tichima North District of the Bono East region. The initiative, according to the Chief Executive Officer of Gridco, Engineer Ebenezer Kofi Esienyi, is part of the company's corporate social responsibility commitment that focuses on educational support for the communities where it operates. Anas Sabit now reports.
Education has always proven to be a very important tool for development in any country. In Ghana, however, even though successive governments have taken steps to ensure the realizations of quality education, there still is a lot of work to be done, particularly in rural communities where basic facilities to access education for children are in poor and deplorable states. Here in the Eswei community, basic school pupils at the kindergarten level have for decades studied under these dilapidated classroom structures, which continuously pose as a death trap for these pupils, thereby impeding effective teaching and learning. The attention of the Ghana Grid Company was, however, drawn to this unfortunate situation, and within a period of 8 weeks, the company, as part of its corporate social responsibility commitment that focuses on educational support for communities where it operates, stepped in to change the fiscal outlook of the school's kindergarten block. Engineer Ebenezer Kofi Esienyi is the Chief Executive Officer of Gridco.
When our attention was drawn to the condition of the Eswei school building, it became evident to us that the structure was not too appropriate for our little children, whose protection and future must be our priority. In recognition of this, we took advantage of its 15th anniversary of operations to renovate this school building, and by providing these classrooms, we are investing in the educational and developmental journey of the young minds of Eswei.
Engineer Ebenezer Kofi Esienyi further highlighted that the rehabilitation project, which is part of Gridco's 15th anniversary celebrations, also aligns with the Goal 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which focuses on quality education for all.
The Education Support Initiative also aligns with the Sustainable Development Goal (SDG) Goal 4, which ensures inclusive and equitable quality education and promotes long life learning opportunities for all.
Headmaster of the school, Raymond Gamo, was full of gratitude to Gridco for the gesture and assured that the facility will be put to good use to help improve basic education across the area.
In fact, we are so much overwhelmed, delighted, and extremely grateful for this unprecedented corporate and social responsibility by Gridco, and wish to assure you that the facility will be properly maintained and put to good use for its real purpose.
District Director of Education, Mrs. Teresa Akpebu, on her part, noted that the move by Gridco will in diverse ways alleviate the difficulties pupils in the area go through in their quest to seek educational knowledge.
I must confess, it's a wonderful edifice that we have here. And it will go a long way to add more value to the lives of our children because they don't have a classroom where they can sit down and learn. And once they have classroom, they sit down and they learn better than those sitting under trees. So this project that we have today has come to help alleviate some suffering that our peoples had gone through some time ago.
GRIDCO anticipates positive outcomes from this support, emphasizing its commitment to fulfilling Ghana's power transmission needs while actively contributing to the country's educational development and sustainable practices. Anna Sabit, Joy News, Asue in the Techiman North District.
That is the note on which we cap off the news this morning. But stay with us in a few minutes. We hit you with the news review as we get you the latest in the world of the newspapers. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to get into the news review. And before I introduce my guest, whenever we play that song by Mensa, do you pay attention to it? 3 things that stand out for me. Them get eyes, but them no they see. Them get heart, but them no they feel. Them get mind. By check like them no they think. We need to reflect on that, especially as young people. I'm one of them. So whichever, and when I say those words, it's not restricted to any particular era. It's not restricted to now. It spreads across our 4th Republican experience and what we've had and how much more we can do. That's a brilliant song by Mensa, and it saddens me that it may not have got the sort of traction it would need. We always like the hey, hey, hey and the bouncy beats and everything, but how about we sit down and reflect? Back in the day when Fela was putting out quality music. You remember? Zombie, oh zombie. All of those. They talk about the real things that affect us. Anyway, I'll save some of these thoughts for Friday when I deliver my blunt thoughts. But as of now, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us to bring you this segment. Now, they're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free, gratis. If you're a woman, fertility screening also for free. You pay zilch, yeah? All you have to do, make your way to any of their branches. Here in the crowd, they're at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi, Chronomobwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Energy State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Siama in Zima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the newspaper review. And joining me, he's also Benjamin Kofi Kwashi. He is chairman of the NDC's South Africa Council of Elders. He joins me for a conversation. Ben, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How's South Africa?
Very well. Everything is going well there.
How's the power crisis now?
I can honestly say that it's gotten worse.
It's got worse?
It got worse. But they are doing their bit. It's gotten worse to the extent that it used to be till stage 3. Now they are up to stage 5 and stage 6 on certain days.
I see. Well, in recent times, quite a lot has been happening in South Africa. Julius Malema and his crew getting, suspended.
Yes.
From their parliament and all of that. I mean, I like Malema for some things, and in some other areas, I feel he goes a bit overboard. Because even when you want to bring about radical change, to what extent? How far is too far when it comes to radicalism? That's my opinion. I don't know what you think. Quickly, since you're coming from South Africa, I want to put those issues.
Style, sometimes we all complain. Sometimes he champions a good cause. Sometimes he overdoes it, and I think that it's the youthful exuberance as well that is at play. And I believe that he's been spoken to. I hear that the EFF has called him to order, and we hope that going forward he will behave much better.
That's on the South African bit. I don't want us to miss this because we're having a crucial conversation on it. The 24-hour economy.
Yes.
Your party,
yeah,
the NDC, says it's a proposal that could make things better in our country. On Friday, I shared my blunt thoughts on what other countries have done and what it would mean for us to bring about this 24-hour economy. I believe it's a good thing. The issue is implementation. And I said, remember how the MPP spoke about free SHS and your side, oh, it can't be done and this and that and that. Today we have free SHS. My problem is with the implementation, how it's being implemented. But the idea of itself is brilliant.
Brilliant, yes.
We already have F-Cube, so we could have a system where you're doing basic education for free, secondary education for free. There was a time on Nkrumah when even at the tertiary level, people were doing it for free and getting to travel to Germany, Russia, and others.
Yes.
In this instance too, I feel this is a brilliant idea. I had an expose on many different countries. In the UK, London's economy, then there's Singapore, there's Tokyo in Japan, there's so many of them. Sydney in Australia. 24-hour economy. It's working for them. Let's stay away from the politics. Will this work? Can it work? Can we make it happen?
I listening to President Mahama and how his whole approach to the 24-hour economy is, I think it's an all-inclusive approach that he's given towards this brilliant idea. The truth of the matter is that it's a well-thought-through policy that the NDC flag bearer has spoken about. What we know is that a lot of consultations will go in, a lot of policy papers will be made as to how this whole initiative will be implemented without challenges. Remember, President Mahama, as an opposition leader, has taken time. He's given positive criticism of the free SHS policy and said that if we could do things in a certain way, things would have moved better. So I know going into this policy, a lot of consultations will go in. You've seen him meet other trade groups, other important, crucial partners when it comes to nation development. This is a policy that it's a game changer. We all agree, irrespective of political colorations. The truth of the matter
your people too, once Dr. Yalban said it was a game changer, it's become your mantra for
not at all.
24-hour economy.
Before the president, our presidential candidate, came up with this policy, we knew that it was a game changer.
I see.
The truth
I'm just saying that the term game changer has become popular with Dr. Yalban, the TUC secretary, saying
yes, he said
and
that.
Now you've latched onto it.
We've not latched onto it, but that is the truth. So I believe that this policy will be well thought through. This policy, like you have indicated, there are brilliant ideas that need to be brought on board. Other countries have been able to do it. It means that we can also be able to do it. It shouldn't only be about sloganeering. We should make sure that the policy works and it stands.
I see. All right. So let's get into the papers this morning. I'll start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Brandishing of machetes, weapons at ex-President Mahama's office. President slams NDC supporters as Mahama condemns fixing the country movement. Then joint political discourse to help shape country's development. Speaker to traditional rulers. Then there's minority kicks against LI to restrict importation of 22 items. Then there's Ghana to host maiden global conference on GC3B. Pictured there, Dr. Albert Entwi Buesiako. On the back page, Hearts Brekum Chelsea draw as Kotoko fight back to stun Legon cities. Let me see where my Krobia Asante Kotoko is positioned. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ninth position with our rivals Hearts of Oak in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth position. But both of us with 16 points, by the way. Having played, let me see, Kotoko has played 12, Hearts of Oak has also played 12. So it's a level playing field. It's the goal difference that separates. But Ediana still perched at the top, and Swatriman following, both teams with 21 points, and Samatex with 20 points, and then Brekum Chelsea also with 20. But let's get into the main stories very quickly. So page 12 is where I'm going to start from. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has condemned the brandishing of machetes and weapons at the office of the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, stressing that no individual or group will be allowed to destabilize the peace and security of the country. He said he was of the belief that the brandishing of those weapons was not a sign of things to happen in the 2024 election, and that Ghanaians would be allowed to go about their duties without disturbances from any quarters. He also says... This is what he said, quoting him. "It is my earnest hope that the machetes and weapons brandished last week at the NDC presidential candidate, the former President John Mahama's office, are not signs of the things to come in the run-up to the 2024 election. If it is, I can assure them that they will find no success within. I want to state that under my watch, no person or group of persons, no matter their political colorations, will be allowed to destabilize our country, to destroy the peace all of us are enjoying. It will not happen," he emphasized. Mr. President, I agree with you. I agree with you on this point. But when members of your own fold have also done similar things, have you been this vehement? Mr. President, over to you, Benjamin.
I think you've summed up what exactly my observation about this whole issue is. It's a brilliant call by the president. But you see, our president has made us realize that there are different sets of rules when it comes to different people in this country. When it's the NDC, he calls them troublemakers. When it's the MPP, he pats them in the back. He doesn't make any comment. We were in this country when the Honorable Kennedy Japan said very unprintable words about judges in this country. The president never condemned it. We were in this country when at an event, the president, we all applauded him when a chief was sitting down, when the national anthem was being played. After a week or two, his own daughter did the same thing. The president has not condemned it. So you see...
And the chief, in fact, pleaded on the back of medical issues, if I recall correctly.
Very well. The chief apologized. There's a statement that was issued. But till today, the president's own daughter has not apologized to anybody. Is it that there are different sets of rules for Ghanaians? If you're an NDC person, the president sees you as an enemy, a troublemaker? No, I think that it's brilliant you condemn this. It's a good call. This call should be to all Ghanaians. The president should not pick and choose. If you want to rule this country and you want the country to grow, progress, lead us as our leader. But don't be choosing and picking, because if you choose and pick, then we don't take your issue seriously. Trust you me, tomorrow there might be an issue. We were in this country again. When a party folks stormed court buildings and did whatever they had to do, did the president condemn it? I think we need to call on the president to be an impartial person when it comes to the dispensation that we find ourselves in.
All right, so important points you're making, but I'll go back and re-echo this as we wrap on this point. Brandishing of machetes, using any sort of weaponry, no threats. We don't want that in our elections. We don't want that in any space in this country. So I'm re-echoing that to both members of the NDC and members of the MPP. We don't want to see that. I always say, and you see, I feel especially for young people in this country, because we may not have experienced certain things, we experience them from afar. That vicarious experience is not something that you can really understand until you're in the middle of it. I was in Liberia. You don't want to see some of the things I saw. You don't want to feel the way I felt. You don't want to see what I saw. So let's stay away from NPP and a little, hey, we're going to match you, we're going to do this, boot for boot and all of that. It doesn't help anybody. Because in the end, if things tip over, that's when you lose control. So NDC, NPP, let's maintain the peace we have. And finally, this bit about vigilante groups. I still hear of activities going on here and there. Peace Council, among others, investigate those matters. We as journalists are doing our bit. Vigilante groups have been outlawed, yet there are activities on different sides. What is happening? Do you have a reaction to that?
Ben, yes, I do. Just to say that what happened in the former president's office was a cleanup exercise. People went there genuinely as party folks to go clean up. If the stories have been twisted, machete wearing people, I see some of the pictures here. These are people who went to clean the house. So let's also.
So they were using the machetes to weed.
The place has grown with weeds, and they went there to do what is needful. So I don't see them to be vigilantes. These are party faithfuls. These are young people who felt that the former president's office needed cleaning, and they went to do it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right. I mean, even before, to be factual about this, even before that, when, what's his name? Owusu Bempah had planned this, there had been talk, okay, from some quarters within the NDC that, okay, come, But on that day, we're also organizing a cleanup exercise, and we'll be wielding machetes and the rest. So you come if you want to be there. It had a connotation. Let's not run away from that.
I'm not right.
So I understand. Machetes will be used for weeding.
Yes.
But once the connotation before, and that's what I am alluding to, was made, I think it was in poor taste. Let's not do that, because a little spark somewhere, it could be there. And someone says, oh, I got a cut because someone did this. And then next thing you know, oh, from our side, this side. Let's avoid all of that and maintain our peace. There's also Seidu Agongo class group donate cash to flood-hit Mepe residents, and more than 1,100 underprivileged residents of Mepe in the Volta region have received cash donations from businessman and philanthropist Alhaj Seidu Agongo to cushion them against the devastating impact of the Akosombo Dam spillage. Each of the 1,158 aged single mothers, widows, and persons with disabilities received a minimum of 200 Ghana cedis from the founder of the class media group as part of his and the group's charity efforts aimed at alleviating poverty from society. All right, so that's the story there. There's also new Aveyime rice farm investor targets cultivating 10,000 hectares of rice in 2024. And the new investor of Aveyime rice farms, Crisport Farms Limited, is seeking to cultivate 10,000 hectares of rice by the end of 2024 through the Outgrower Scheme. The Outgrower Scheme is a contractual arrangement where a large farmer who is well-resourced takes charge of smaller farmers by providing them with the necessary training on agronomy practices and some farm inputs for production. I think this is a good idea. It's Mr. Chris Bodo, the owner of Crisport Farms Limited and the third investor for the Aveyime rice farms in Bato Volta region, said the company would cultivate, like I've mentioned, 10,000 hectares of rice annually to feed the nation. But Mr. Bodo, let's not, to feed the nation. Okay, so to feed a section of the nation. Aveyime has a lot of capacity. Other parts of the country have lots of capacity when it comes to rice production. What do you make of this project? And I'd like you to tie it into the planned ban of goods, including rice. Even Nigeria has had its own issues. They will display the rice pyramids, but the issues at the bottom are there. What do you make of it? Good policy, yes, but how do we go about it?
I think that the truth of the matter is that it's a brilliant policy, cultivating 10,000 acres. I believe that if we are all...
This is hectares.
Hectares. And I believe that Chris Bodo, right, and his group are doing a brilliant job. One thing that I'm so proud about reading the story is that he's also training other young farmers as well in that state so that they can come after him. These kind of policies are policies that we should all encourage, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship development, because we know that this is the way to go if we want to develop. And to feed the citizenry, I think it's possible. We can do it. We're not there yet, but gradually we would be able to get there. And when we do things right, I'm sure that as a country we'll get there.
All right. I'll just wrap with these very quickly. Court affirms GRA's 19 million Ghana cedi tax liability against MTN Ghana. Recently, if I recall correctly, it was the vice president telling the GRA that it was a lazy man's approach to keep taxing the same people. Anyway, join political discourse to help shape country's development. Speaker to traditional rulers. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman, has called on traditional authorities not to remain quiet in the political discourse of the country, especially in the upcoming general elections come next year. He said his call was not to urge chiefs to engage in partisan politics, but to ensure their contribution helped shape up the development aspirations of the people. What do you make of that call? It's a fine line between being a chief and crossing the line of veering into politics. And in recent times, we've had many problems with that. What do you make of that call?
I think it's a brilliant call. Chiefs are supposed to be leaders in the society, in their communities where they find themselves. When they become too partisan, it impairs their judgment. It impairs what they are supposed to do as chiefs in their respective communities. And I think that the Speaker is right with that call.
Let's get into some of the papers you have. In fact, let's complete your stack of newspapers. Okay. So you have the Daily Guide and the Publisher.
And the Publisher. Right. So I'll start with the Publisher newspaper. It says, on the front page, it says, Dame stops Torenko. Says company not credible to partner tour. Defense Minister lauds government support for military. Ghana to host global cyber conference on capacity building. So the main story is the one by that speaks to the issue of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Dame. It says that Dame stops Torenko, says company not credible to partner Tor. The Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has declared that Torenko Asset Management Limited is not a credible partner for Tema Oil Refinery to revive the ailing company. This follows the agreement between Torenko and the board of Tor to enter into a partnership where part of Tor will be leased to Torenko. In a letter to the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union of the Ghana Trades Union, it stated that the due diligence report raises questions about Torenko's credibility because it has no financial and technical capability to execute the transaction. This, I believe, is a brilliant story. If the Attorney General has seen that going into the minorities on several occasions have raised questions about certain agreements that other government institutions go into. And with this due diligence done by the Attorney General, I think we have to pat him in the back because he's stated clearly what, in part, the minority and other people have stated, that this deal is not worth carrying through, and then he has affirmed that. So it's a save to the Ghanaian economy. On the Daily Guide newspaper, on the front page, it says, "We Power collaborates with German institutions." We've already dealt with the Nana issue to the NDC. It also gives us a story about Seydou Agongo class group donates to Mepe residents. And then tens of thousands march in Europe, call for permanent ceasefire in Gaza. I think these are the topic. And then on the editorial of the Daily Guide, it speaks to us about our Black Stars. It says, "Started wretched," about our Black Stars.
Well, it's quite a situation in respect of the Ghana Black Stars, but we keep praying for them and hoping for the best. It appears in recent times we've not had much success.
Yes.
I don't believe in luck, so I wouldn't say luck. Much success. This one comes through from Susan, who is a concerned viewer, who says, "Good morning, Ben. Please let your technicians know you are not in sync." It's from a concerned viewer, and it appears both of you are talking at the same time. So whatever is happening with, I'm sure this is the live feed on social media. We've taken stock of that. Thank you very much, Susan, and it's really good to hear from you this morning. I believe you are watching us all the way from Kwabinya. Thank you for watching. We can get into other stories from other papers if you, or the same paper, if there are any more you'd like to.
I think that the issue about the Agric Minister chairing the Côte d'Ivoire Ghana Cocoa Initiative is another brilliant one. Over the years, we've seen that there are a lot of smuggling that has gone in here and there. So I believe that it's another way of, checking through to ensure that we don't smuggle cocoa through both borders, and ensure that the revenues that are due to us as a country, we are able to get it. Yes, so it's a brilliant one. Then there's a story of on page 6 of the Daily Guide. It says, "I'll respond to your calls," Bawumia assures Otumfuo. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has declared that he will make himself available to the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II whenever the king calls. Dr. Bawumia, who is also the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 elections, said he adores and respects the Asante monarch. The vice president, referring to the Asantehene as his father, stated that Otumfuo has played key roles in the transformation of his political career thus far, for which he is grateful. He therefore disclosed that continuing to subordinate himself to the Asantehene is a step in the right direction. I'm here at the Menchia Palace today to take part in the last Akwesidai Festival of the year and also offer my heartfelt and sincere thanks. I believe that the president also made this calls when he called on Otumfuo some time ago. And just last week, we could hear the Ashanti regional minister telling Otumfuo that road contractors are not being paid. The president said contrary to this. So for Bawumia, time will tell, but I believe that we should walk the talk. A lot of the things that Alhaji Bawumia has said today has tend to be, he's doing the other side of it. And I believe that if he wants us to take him serious, he should be credible with certain things that he has promised in the past.
Okay. Next paper.
The next paper is the Publisher newspaper. It says Electrochem supports Ada citizens with portions of its concession to mine salt. It also have the story of the Defense Minister lauding government support for the military. Ghana to hold global conference on cyber capacity building. That is a story on page 7 of the Publisher newspaper. If we could just do a bit of it. It says that Ghana to host maiden conference on cyber capacity building. More than 800 delegates from over 100 countries across the globe are expected to participate in the first ever global conference on cyber capacity building, GC3B, from November 29 to the 30th at the Kempinski Hotel in Accra. The Director General, Dr. Albert Ntwi-Bosuaku, has announced. The two-day conference, themed Cyber Resilience for Development, is organized collaboratively with the Ministry of Communication and Digitization, Cybersecurity Authority, Global Forum on Cyber Experience, the Cyber Peace Institute, the World Bank, and the World Economic Forum. This is a brilliant conference as well that talks about cyber capacity building. The bullying, other vices that the cyber industry has unleashed on us. I think that it's a brilliant conference, the first of its kind, and Ghana is the one hosting it, and I think it's a pat on the back of us as a country.
All right. Let's, barring any other stories you may have, if you have any.
Yes.
No? Okay, so let's get into some others here. The Finder newspaper, some stories we've already done, but let me just reiterate. GRA wins High Court case to recover $15.5 million. That's also tied to the other issue I raised in the other paper to do with MTN. This is another issue. Then there is Electrochem. You made mention of this.
Yes.
Electrochem builds 70 artisanal salt mining pans for towns. There seems to be quite a lot happening in this area. Recently, someone got killed, and I don't know how we're going to resolve this issue. Some have had their issues with Electrochem. Others have had their issues with the townsfolk. But even before this Electrochem deal, the people of Adan, the Songo mine, had been in operation for, I believe, centuries. This had been a source of livelihood. I'm just saying that let's manage it well. Investment, yes. Yeah. Let's do the right thing. The tussles, the scuffles, the back and forth are not in the right taste. And I believe if the right things had been done and all the boxes had been ticked, we wouldn't be where we are now with continuous, problems there. But this is a good step. It is some sort of an attempt to reach out by Electrochem, and I feel it's a step in the right direction. Let's look at pages 8, 9, and 11. 3 crucial stories I want to look at there. The first one, I'll just take a brief look at it. Otumfuo bemoans brain drain consequences, calls for creation of opportunities for young graduates to stay, work in Ghana. But how do we do it? How do we create the jobs? We moved from about 5-point-something% when it comes to unemployment. Now the youth unemployment, or is it the total unemployment, I believe, stands at 13-point-something%. With such statistics, it's problematic. That is why, for me, I dislike the politics when it comes to, MPP has said this, so NDC will push against it. NDC has said this, so necessarily MPP will push against it. I know some of you who now are going against this 24-hour economy. If it had been your party that had proposed it, today you'll be supporting it. That's the problem I have with the hypocrisy. If it's good, it's good. Free SHS is good. The implementation is the problem. I feel this 24-hour economy thing, we can do it. Someone sent me a message saying, do farmers farm 24/7? The thinking. Go to places like Brazil. Do you know that, there are farms that are, of course, automated? Yes. Are you aware? Mechanized farms. So that overnight, they are still working. You may not need the human interface all the time, but they are mechanized. I mean, how can we think like this? Again, with this policy, if we get things right in terms of those who will handle it, in terms of the economy and getting the right things in place, in terms of security, it's the implementation. It's not the idea. The idea is good. It's the implementation that could be the problem. Just as with free SHS. Anyway, so that's that. And I link that to the fact that if this is your rate of unemployment, and on Friday, if you watched my blunt thoughts. If you've not, just go and watch it because you'll get the breakdown. Different parts of the world, what they are doing, from the USA to the UK to Japan to Australia to Singapore. What they are doing, the city-state of Singapore, and what we can learn from them. Because if it's going to create jobs, aid our economy, why not? Why not? Must it be everything NDC MPP?
No.
We're becoming too polarized in this country.
Yeah.
And I think it's a problem. But then let's get to pages 9 and 11. I'll wrap with those issues. Those will be my final stories.
Okay.
Eye healthcare facing major challenges in Ghana. In a gathering of optometrists from across Africa, the Ghana Optometric Association highlighted 7 critical issues affecting eye health in Ghana. The urgent observations encapsulated in a communique from the Joint African Council of Optometry and the Ghana Optometric Association annual general meeting held from October 19 to 22, 2023, addressed pressing concerns that demand government's attention for enhanced eye care services. Under the theme, Expanding Optometric Practice in Africa, focus on scope training and legislation. So, the communique revealed a concerning trend where a significant number of trained optometrists in Ghana had left the country due to poor working conditions and a lack of government posting after graduating. The association anticipates that the ongoing job evaluation will result in improved conditions of service, hoping to stem the exodus of skilled professionals. You should get more details from this story, but there are a lot of things we take for granted. Eye care, wahala.
Yeah.
Are you aware that I believe it is, I don't know which is which, but even those of our brothers and sisters who are visually impaired, I think it's about 60+% of them who don't have access to white canes. White canes that we should provide for them. We're not providing them. The last time I checked, it's either 40% plus or 60% plus. One of them is the group that has it, and the other group does not have it. Something as basic as that. And then there is this final story I'll look at. 2 in every 5 women, 2 in every 5 women, that is 40%, suffered intimate partner violence. That's according to the Ghana Statistical Service. So it has released alarming preliminary findings from the 2022 Ghana Demographic and Health Survey report, indicating that 41.6% of women aged 15 to 49 years in Ghana have been victims of intimate partner violence. The report highlights the prevalence of emotional, physical, or sexual IPV experienced by women in the country. According to a GSS statement, 35.25% of women had encountered emotional violence, 22.7% physical violence, and 11.2% sexual violence at least once. Ghanaian men.
This is bad.
What's going on?
This is bad.
Once you go on this trajectory with women and children, then that is a society with major problems. Me, when women's issues come up, I'll continue drumming them home. Ghanaian men, and some of you are watching me right now. Some of you, likely, you beat your wives before this morning. Should be ashamed of yourselves.
Very ashamed.
And finally, this bit. Some also engage in economic abuse.
Very well, that's true.
I know men who intentionally prevent their wives who want to work
from working.
Oh, don't work, stay at home. And yet they use that to manipulate them. So because they don't have means of earning something, they can now pepper them, so to speak. So sometimes instead of giving, they will not give the money. Oh, she wants this, I'll not give it. You are punishing her for this and that. All of that is wrong. And I feel we should get systems in place more to check some of these things, because a lot of the men out there are being very unfair to the women. Your take on these stories?
I think it's alarming with the statistics we are receiving. Back in South Africa, it's hell, the way that their women and children are treated. Gender-based violence is so much rampant in South Africa, and it's a dent on them. It makes their society one that it's not conducive for everybody to live in. And I think that if this is the trajectory that Ghanaian men wants to take, we should advise ourselves and do better. I know Ghanaian men are very responsible, so I don't know where this is coming from, but if it is something that we are doing wrong, we need to ensure that we change from it.
Mm. Let me again apologize. I see a number of you, Jifagunu, you say the streaming is poor. James Apia, you say, please, can you work on your microphone? Fusheni, you say audio is not good. Sound check. Jude, you say shaky sound, difficult to hear a thing. We don't know whether it's from here or from the streaming, but we're going to work on it. Our sincere apologies to all of you for that. Let me quickly acknowledge two people. So Cecil Ebo Gabra, I stumbled upon this. We have to salute you. Fantastic in that sector. At the latest Ghana Industry CEO Awards, you were awarded the Executive Director, Top Tech Ghana Limited. That is, you were Executive Director, Top Tech Ghana Limited. You were Driving Institution CEO of the Year. So that is Driving Institution. That's the category. CEO of the Year. Ghana Industry CEO Awards. We salute you, Cecil, for the good work you keep doing for God and country. Keep it up. There's also Elegant Homes and Construction Limited. And you recently received an award for Ghana, that is at the Ghana Property Awards, the Best Residential Developer Middle Income Luxurious 2023. Best Residential Developer Middle Income Luxurious 2023. We salute you as well. You collaborate with us all the time for the Habitat Fair. We salute you on the good work you are doing. I also want to just chip this in. This young boy, Gabriel, suffering from cerebral palsy, sat the BEC. The right systems were not supposedly put in place. Now there were problems with hearing him because he can't write because of the ailment and everything. The story was put on social media, and what we got in touch with the family. The response I am getting is that, and we're trying to do the story. We had even set off to do the story, and threats by the district, educational setup at this person because they put it on social media. But if you had done the right thing, would he have cause to put it out there on social media? That's my beef. We do the wrong thing, and when it's out on social media, then you phone the people and you threaten them. What is that about? But I'll get time for you guys on that bit. Okay. Any final words? Yes.
On a sad note, you spoke about Asante Kotoko, so I believe that you've seen the story of their legend, Papa Ako, who is dead. It says the former Asante Kotoko captain, Ernest Papa Ako, popularly known as Soccer Bob Marley, has been confirmed dead. It's a sad story, and then we sympathize with the family and with you, Asante Kotoko, as well.
Well, thank you very much. That makes me feel you are not a fan of Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
Accra Hearts of Oak.
Accra Hearts of Oak. Okay. When we meet, we'll pepper you guys.
I hear you.
For real.
We'll see how it goes.
Thank you, Benjamin, for joining the conversation. Benjamin is Chairman, NDC, South Africa Council of Elders. He joined the conversation, Benjamin Kofi Kwashi. Before we get into sports with Mubarak Haruna, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, helping us bring you this segment. They're offering free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma Abuehia behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanso and Siama in Zima. The call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of the news review and the start of sports. Up next. Thank you for staying with us. We're back on the AM show. And here we go, talking about the 24-hour economy. Now, flag bearer of the opposition, NDC, John Mahama's proposed 24-hour economy has been met with mixed reactions. While some have described this as a game changer, others think it is mere political talk. What do you think? What are the expert opinions on this? Well, joining us for a discussion this morning, we have Professor Lord Mensah. He is Associate Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School. We have Dr. Eric Boakye-Yadom. He's Senior Lecturer, Banking and Finance Department at the UPSA. We have in the studio Dr. Seiram Kawo, Senior Lecturer, UCC School of Business. And joining the conversation as well, Dr. Joseph Obeng, President of GUTA, Big Business. They're going to be telling us what they feel about this, together with Charles Nyaba, who is the Executive Director, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. We've already, gentlemen, to situate the conversation, We've already heard from former President Mahama. We've heard from Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the Vice President. We've heard from the TUC Secretary General, who has called this a game changer. And I think that is where the bone of contention came through, because once he said that, there had been a furore of bombardment in terms of what this really meant. On Friday, I shared my blunt thoughts on this matter, breaking it down, what other jurisdictions have had on the back of this and what we could do. But I also saw, in reaction to what the TUC boss said, I also saw Richard Ahiagba, Communications Director of the MPP, saying, what game is that going to change? In other words, it will bring nothing. I'll take your initial thoughts on a 24-hour economy and its practicality or practicability in Ghana. I'll start with you, Professor Lord Mentor. And good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, and good morning to our viewers.
Right.
Good morning to my co-panelists at the other end. You know, 24-hour economy, I would say that it's a new thing, and it's something that we've not conscientized Ghanaians of all this while.
When you say, just a sec, when you say new, you're referring to Ghana, right?
Yes, I'm referring to Ghana.
Okay.
Yes, I'm referring to Ghana. I mean, since independent, I mean, we've been conscientized our mindset, I mean, to look at working, 8 hours. And once you work 8 hours, you go off the sun. And once the darkness, sets in, it looks like everybody must sleep. And so from where I sit, I'm looking at, the policy and the possibility of creating jobs for Ghanaians. Now, we have a lot of, young men moving around without, jobs. And a lot of, jobs having some baseline kind of capacity to work beyond the 8 hours. You will see a factory operating, producing maybe juice. And by the time it's 6 or 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the evening, that factory shut down. And if you look at the cost involved in establishing this factory and then using these machines to work just for only 8 hours, I mean, I don't think it's an efficient way of using, such, things in the manufacturing sector. So if a government is proposing 24-hour policy with the mindset of, creating jobs for the youth, I think it's in order. And I can tell you that having a government proposing such policy, then obviously that government is ready to provide the baseline incentives required by businesses to go on 24-hour, activities. So from where I sit, it is a good thing. I mean, we should embrace it. And I heard the Vice President talking about, it exists already. I mean, people receive money 24 hours. I mean, so it's a policy that does not exist. Now, the activity may exist. And even when you are receiving money, during the night, it's not an economic activity. It's not a productive activity. It could be that you had a transaction or you had an economic activity during the day, but then in the night, that is when you are doing, funds, you are settling what kind of benefit that is due you, on your day's activity. But from where I sit, I'm looking at a situation where economic activities are going on, all around the day and the night. And transactions will be settled, all through, day and night. And so that is different from just receiving money. And more so, can you imagine having an economy where businesses are, let's assume that a private hospital is operating during the day, and that private hospital gets incentives from the government to say that open up 24 hours a week, we'll provide you security, we'll provide you tax incentives in such a way that instead of you paying taxes up to a certain threshold, you can, use that to, employ. Don't worry about your, private security. We're going to provide it. We're going to make sure that there's, effective lighting system, ensure that at each point in time when there's a call, I mean, for emergency, I mean, you can get support for your security. I mean, that private hospital will be able to employ the same numbers that they employ during the, even if they're going to reduce it because the night traffic, you know, at the hospital could be, you know, low. So they may say, okay, fine, we're doing 50% workforce. That should be, you know, the productive activity that you're supposed to have during the day, getting half of it in the night. And from where I sit, I think it is a good policy because at the end of the day, we have young men moving around who have no job. And if there's an avenue to, I mean, give opportunity to them to work in the night, some of them are ready to do that. So it's a good policy. We shouldn't, you know, look at it as, you know, a policy that is coming from particular quarters of, you know, I mean, political circles, and therefore it makes it bad. We may have some industries, one or two working 24 hours already, but the question is, have we really conscientized ourselves? You know, have we really thrown out there that as a country, our development is going to be based on 24-hour economy? We've not done that. Have we had a situation where construction is going on and you will get contractors, you know, pushing their workers to work day and night to get a structure produced? So I think, you know, it's something that we must embrace. And it has to do with, you know, the blueprint that will support it. If we have very good blueprints that will support it, why not? So I think it's a good call. Can you imagine having, you know, the agro-processing, you know, food chain structures, you know, where they work in 24 hours? I mean, it's going to be a game changer, as has been used by the trade union boss. So we should be ready for it. And if it's supposed to form the baseline for all our development, I will go for it. I'm not saying all the, you know, all the structures and then all the employment spaces are going to operate 24-hour, you know, in this economy. No, it's not possible. But there are some key sectors that may require the 24-hour, you know, operations. Why won't we give them the incentives to do that?
But very quickly, just a quick top-up, because there are many of us, we need to maximize the time. So you disagree, you feel the Vice President got it wrong when he said that receiving money via Momo is a part of the 24-hour economy and all of that.
For me,
it's not an economic activity, like you said.
Yes, they're just receiving money. It's not a productive activity. No. I mean, maybe you did the production during the day, and if you are receiving the money in the night, you are not producing. But here we are talking about, we're looking at, you know, production during the night. There's a difference between just receiving money and exchange money during the night. And fine, it is an activity, create space for, you know, the platforms that are being used, and then the structures within that transaction space. But do we have a real production, you know, as far as monies are exchanging hands? No, it goes beyond just exchanging, you know, money during, you know, the night.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Hold for me. Let me bring in Dr. Eric Boakye-Adom. And to situate the conversation even further, what has the former president said about the 24-hour economy? 1, it will include the operation of a 3-shift system by industries and commercial entities on a daily basis. 2, businesses will be encouraged to sign up with tax incentives. 3, heightened security will be provided for safer cities and thereby, in effect, boost tourism. 4, there will be lower electricity tariffs given after peak hours. 5, special meters will be employed to provide time of use tariffs to deliver cheaper power to such businesses during hours of 10 a.m. and 6 a.m. That is those that will be on the 24-hour economy. And the 24-hour economy initiative will be voluntary. No one will be forced. Your take on this proposal, Dr. Boakye-Adom?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. If the 24-hour asks about, let's say, let's assume that currently we are operating a partial 24-hour economy. If this 24-hour economy add, let's say, even 5 hours to the working time now, I estimate from where I sit about 265 billion Ghana cedis. If Ghana economy should grow, should be doing 1 trillion as estimated by the Minister of Finance during the budget presentation. So even just an extra of 5 hours will be growing the size of the Ghanaian economy. Now, if we look around the world, you will see that these are models that have been well practiced. You know, you can talk about Cairo, you can talk about UK, you know, so many countries have implemented it. But they have made a deliberate policy to be able to make sure that the economy runs 24 hours. In 2018, in Australia, Sydney, in Sydney, Australia, they launched what we call the 9th Time Industries Association. So industries that find themselves operating the 9th form an association so that they can design a deliberate policy. In 2021, the country, the president commissioned what we call the 9th time mayor, who is responsible for businesses in the 9th. Now, you cannot say that Australia has not been operating in the 9th even 10 years ago. But in 2021, they thought they saw it as an avenue to grow the size of the economy by designing a deliberate policy to ensure that businesses are able to operate in the 9th. I mean, you see, one of the we should be mindful is the fact that when there is a policy or when a proposal comes, we should not be in hurry to brush it aside. I mean, but rather we should be thinking about how we'll be able to make it work and look at the real challenges. In Paris, when they launched the 9th time economy or the 24-hour economy, it created about 3.5 billion jobs. In London alone.
Just to clarify, did you say it created 3.5 billion jobs? Because that's what I heard.
Yes, that is from 2017 downwards to this time. There's a whole write-up on 9th time economy.
No, you're not getting my point. How many jobs again? I heard billion. Did you mean million, or is it the how much it added to the economy, or is it the number of jobs created that you're referring to?
The number of jobs in France alone.
Which was how much?
3.5 billion. 3.5 billion.
Are you saying billion?
Yeah, a billion, yes.
You're saying jobs and you're saying billion. I mean, the population of the world is about 8 billion. That's what I'm not getting. Do you mean million?
I'm talking about the number of jobs that were created across. I mean, and I'm saying that the number of jobs that were created is about 3.5 million jobs. Sorry, it's not billion, it's rather 3.5 million jobs.
Right. Thank you. I just wanted that clarity because the entire world's population is 8+ billion. So I just wanted clarity on that. Please go ahead.
No. So there is a bulletin called the Mayor of London, and there is a paper on 9th time economy that gives the statistics about the number of jobs that have been created across the world and the size of the economy that has been added by way of extending 9th time economy.
Right.
But you see, going to the Ghanaian case, we can look at it in terms of the private sector and the public sector, how this can work. I do not think that any private business will close down if there's more jobs or if there are people coming into the shops. You know, one of the things that drives the 9th time economy is consumer capitalism. If consumers have capital to spend, you know, shops will be open for them. So it is important that we also put the conversation into perspective. That if there are no money to be spent, shops will be open, but there will be nobody to buy.
Demand and supply.
And it will defeat the purpose of establishing a 24-hour economy. So it is important that we are able to have a comprehensive policy and have a thought-through policy that will be able to incentivize and be able to have disposable money to spend.
Right.
I mean, so talking about the private sector, currently some businesses are doing half of their capacity because the market, the demand is not there. So are we going to widen the market? Are we going to make sure that the production that is being produced within the 24 hours, they'll be able to uptake? I mean, there'll be enough good consumption to meet the supply side coming from industry. Now, in the public sector, we can talk about the fact that there are some essential sectors like hospitals and police station, electricity that are currently doing 24 hours. But this can be extended to other sectors. For example, you go to passport office and there's a long queue and it's about 5 p.m. They said that they've closed. These are services that people are willing to pay for. So why not extending the working hours? Pay the staff there. You know, we know that the public sector is overstaffed. You know, why not extending the working hours so that these passports or other essential activities, important services that are rendered by the public can be extended to be able to serve the populace faster.
We could say same for the DVLA among others, right?
Exactly. So it is not only about the private sector and manufacturing industry, the public sector as well. Even if you look at our educational system, I remember early 2000 when UPSS started, one of the things that made UPSS stand out was their evening schools. You know, the evening schools was so effective that I think at the early stages of UPSS, they had more students coming to school in the evening than during the normal school hours. So even our secondary schools, what we can also even do in terms of the 24 hours, if the security is there, we already have the infrastructure in the cities. We can even have evening schools where we don't need to build more schools, but rather evening schools can start somewhere around 5 or 4 when the normal school ends and goes up to about 8.
Right.
You know, it make good use of the already existing infrastructure. You know, and in a way we will be able to maximize resources.
Okay.
So there are markets that are working in the night, but nobody take taxes or market tolls from them. If you go to Medina, you go to La Paz, you go to Osu, nobody, because the local government closes offices close around 5, and these shops or these businesses are running in the night. They make free money, no market tolls, which is depriving the local economy or the local government or some tax revenue.
Right.
But if we expand that we are operating into the night, they will be able to ensure that their staff stay in the night. You know, there's enough protection for them, which will increase local government revenue.
Okay.
So I think that we should not kick against the 24-hour economy, but rather the thinking should be how we can make it practical. But of course, you know, some of these ideas the implementation is the problem.
Indeed.
You know, it can be very nice on paper, but when it comes to the implementation, then it is a whole different thing altogether.
Right.
Like we know about the free SHS and others. So
right.
It is a good call, and it has the ability of increasing the size of the Ghanaian economy if
right.
we hit 1 trillion by about 265 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay.
By 2024. Yeah.
All right, so important points you've made on the bit about a $1 trillion economy or 1 trillion CD economy. The likes of Dr. Osai Kwapong and Professor Kobi Mensah have even said that we are not even there. If you look at the exchange rate and everything, as far as our CD is concerned, we are not really there. The projections are not totally correct. But when you spoke about education and what a 24-hour economy could do, it reminded me of growing up and back then, you know, where you would have the day shift and the afternoon shift in some schools. With all of these free SHS numbers, for example, is that something we could do so that instead of missing teacher hours or learning hours and then having to do some of the things we are doing, the acrobatics, we could actually also expand that? That's another thing to look at. But before I go to Dr. Obeng of Guta, these are some of the breakdowns which I shared on Friday. I'll share again. You mentioned Paris with about 3.5 million jobs created, France. You look at Sydney, and you were talking about Sydney earlier. Sydney's nighttime economy value in 2017 shot up by $27.2 billion. That's what it earned. The jobs created 234,000. 234,000. When you look at London, The contribution in gross value added 17.7 billion. They moved to 26.3 billion in 2014. The projected growth rate in value was 1.63 billion every year by 2026. It created 1.26 million jobs. And in terms of projected growth rate, 66,000 additional jobs. I could go on and on. There's New York and Las Vegas in the US. There's Tokyo in Japan. There's South Korea. There's Singapore, the city-states. There's the UK generally. There's Dubai. So I'm coming to you, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Is this a good idea? And is the devil really the implementation? What is your take?
Yeah, thank you very much. All that the former president is saying is that, look here, we have a lot of time and space in the night. So how do we take advantage of it? And that's all that he's saying. And there's nothing bad about that. All that we have to do is to find a way to make it productive for all of us. People have said that this thing is already there. If it is already there, let's find a way to reactivate it, revamp it, to make it productive for us. There's no argument about this. Because all that I know is that until recently, people even used to like traveling in the night. So when they start in the night, by the day they are at their destination, until armed robbery and all that set in. I knew that the pharmaceuticals were running 24/7 until the same reason of armed robbery, the filling stations and all that. So it means that if we create the enabling environment, we can activate it and let it work. And so there's no argument about it. We have to think through all together to find a way. We are the private sector. And indeed, the private sector is the engine of growth. If we say we are the engine, we only need the lubricants. And engine never sleeps. And engine works throughout. And so we also have to create measures that will induce demand. Because if you are talking about the manufacturing sector, all that we have to do is to make sure that we have the demand so that we can also have the capacity to supply. If the demand is not there, how do we produce to supply? And we do this by giving deliberate incentives and removing some of the taxes that make us unattractive to even be able to export our goods to Togo and beyond. So if we, so it's a deliberate effort that we have to make sure, and some of it even have to be done by legislation. Let me tell you one example. The nuisance in the afternoon, some of them can be even segregated and take into the night. Like congestion in the central business districts, you see that most of the cargoes are being offloaded during the time of trading.
Right.
And it creates a lot of nuisance.
Something that could have been done at night yes, or dawn, during the day. Then it could create an inconvenience for you doing work during the day.
Exactly. So we can take the offloading, especially the foodstuffs, the containers that we offload at the central business districts. We do it at the night. In the afternoon, in the morning to afternoon, we have the space, all the space. And there's no congestion. And then we do our business. So this is a laudable area. We have to think out of the box and use the nights profitably. You see, even when I was growing up, I saw the people in my household, they ran the shift. They went at the Naza, they went the night. And then they were, some of them were working at one place, they went the night. And then they had their passes. That is settling. They bring the night people and then they take those who are going in the morning. And so the activity was running around the clock. And then it was increasing productivity. So all that we have to do is to come together, find a way so that we are able to maximize the use of the space that we have in the night and the time that we have in the night. And there's nothing wrong with that. We are ready to take advantage of any activity You see, activities begets activities. If there's activity, we make a conscious effort to create an activity in the night. It will also beget other activities, and then it creates the pool of activities that will generate the needed business for us, and then create the employment as well.
All right. Thank you for those initial thoughts. Hold for me, because when he spoke about, for example, transport systems and everything, it reminded me of Seoul in South Korea and especially Tokyo in Japan. Apart from convenience stores and all of that, the 24-hour transport system is what also helps fuel their night economy, the 24-hour economy. But which brings me to the next point. Mr. Nyaba, so you also notice that there has been talk about cutting off our dependence on some products, including rice, fruit juices, among others. Now the question is, we cut them off. How do we meet the demand? Will the 24-hour economy be the situation? Mr. Nyaba, what do you think?
Okay, good morning, and thanks so much for the opportunity. As an informal sector actor and as a farmer, sometimes we get worried as to how we look at a policy, whether it is nice or bad, from the person who is proposing it. We looked at it, is it coming from an NDC person or an MPP person? Once it's coming from an NDC person, all NDC people support it. When it's coming from MPP person, all MPP people support it, whether it's bad or not. And that is worrying. As a farmer, if you ask any other farmer and people who want to come to agriculture, they will tell you our major problem today has to do with labor. You send labor to your farm because we are rain-fed dependent. We wait for the rain. The rain comes, and then you need to plant your crops within a day or two before the drought set in. You take them and they tell them, look, we are working from 8 to 4 o'clock. They get to 4 o'clock, no matter how, even if you want to add additional money for them to help you complete the farm, they will never do it. We have limited tractor to farmer ratio. We have some few tractors on the field. You go there, there are instances where the tractors, you have 2 operators who are willing to work. But the moment it's 5 o'clock, they tell you that the owner said we shouldn't work beyond 5 o'clock. I have experienced an occasion where we sent tractors to farm in the morning. We wanted to start very early around the Fumbisi valleys. The filling stations were not open. You know, it's only gold that we see work throughout the night, but most of the filling stations were not open. We have to wait until 7 o'clock to open for us to be able to fill our tanks to go and work. Even banking sectors. There were many instances we want to disperse money to people on the field. You get there, the moment is 4 o'clock. Even if you get there exactly 4 o'clock, the banks will lock you out. So putting all this together, for us, when we heard this, I just thought that this is a fantastic idea that would have addressed the issue of lack of continuous labor for both production, for processing, for transportation, and for value addition. But one thing that came to my mind quickly was, how can this be done? The infrastructure. Do you have the infrastructure to be able to do that? Once we listen to the former president and they are able to outline the strategies that should be used to get this done, for us, I think it will go a long way to increase agricultural productivity, which is the key to the economy.
Right. And there's also the standpoint, of course, coming to Africa, Kenya, with its own proposals that it has had and what it has been able to do so far. It may not have had too much advancement, but at least they have started on that trajectory. They have had a plan, a blueprint, and it's something we could learn from. But let me come into the studio now. Dr. Kawa.
Can I answer you? Can I answer the main question you asked? Because my question was whether these 24 hours to address the...
I thought you had, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, I always said that Ghana, we the farmers, we have no problem in production. We have the lands, we have the manpower who are willing to work. The problem is creating the enabling environment for us to be able to produce. Today, when it goes to most of the rice growing areas, farmers are harvesting their rice. How to get it to the urban centers is a problem. How to dry them and store them is a problem. How to get guaranteed market for what is produced is a problem. I was just chatting with some of the farmers before this program. I was asking of various prices across the valleys. And they tell me that you go to the valleys and then you have 180 kg of paddy rice and it's going for 700 Ghana cedis. That will give you more than 3 bags of a meal rice. Okay? So for us to be able to do that, we need to create enabling environment, ensure that there's credit facilities available for private sector who want to come in with meals to mop up this produce and mill them. Once we do that, we'll be able to feed this country. But here's the case: we allow farmers who are heavily subsidized. They get interest rate of less than 10% when we are getting over 35% to bring the same produce and come and flout our markets. So for us, the best way for government to do is rather to increase taxes on importation of the similar commodities that come to compete with the domestic production, and then invest the revenue generated into supporting the local productivity, be it the main production sector or the industry. Once we do that, I bet you within the next 5 years, we'll be able to actually produce enough for this country and for export. In the very short run, I agree that there could be some shortages, but those shortages can be taken care by other commodities like maize, like cassava, like yam that we are producing.
All right. Interesting thoughts you've espoused there. Of course, when you look at the WTO and the other side of the conversation, though some of these Western and Eastern countries are also flouting those very same rules, though they may tell you that you are being too protectionist with your economy. There's this message coming through from Susan Na Amanua Ankra, who says, enjoying the show, 24-hour economy is a very good idea and will be beneficial to the youth and hopefully get them off the streets and also cut down on night crime. I built my home in Ghana from working nights in the UK. So it should be implemented. Most of the time we are so active and hyper at night that we can't sleep. So why not work and earn? Her thoughts. All right. So let me come to Dr. Kawo in the studio. We've had quite a number of issues to digest. I'm leaving you to pick and choose which ones to react to, but the main thrust of it is this even workable in Ghana? What's your take?
Yeah, so the 24-hour economy, when you look at it, it's very workable in Ghana.
It's very workable?
It's workable.
Based on what?
Based on what already exists. If you go to the Tema Enclave, you have Unilever, Nestle, Ghana Limited. They operate 24-hour service. You have their buses moving all over the place. They run the shifts, and so the workers go. Other companies in that particular area engage in this activity. 24-hour economy is driven by the hospitality industry. So when you go to entertainment centers, so you go to Osu, you go to East Legon, you go to some places, they do not sleep. There are places in Cape Coast they don't sleep. Takrady, they don't sleep. There are shops that will only open in the night. But as we have been saying, it is not formalized. Not a lot of people are engaged in this particular activity. So formalizing it and conscientizing people on the need to bring this on board and other companies coming on board will be very necessary. The security situation has made some of the filling station or fuel distribution companies stop whatever they do. The transportation system has also thwarted at a point in time because of security issues. Going into a 24-hour economy, it will make everybody come on board to enhance security in the system. The street lighting that we have problems with will also be enhanced. If you go to Kumasi, you will realize that in the night, you have about 10 VIP vehicles moving from Kumasi to Aflau border every night. The following day, they enter Togo, they do their transactions, and off they are back again. And so it is very possible. Now, we are in an economy where we said that we have done one district, one factory. If we have done one district, one factory, where are the factories and what do we want them to do? This is the time for the factories to move into action so that we will be able to do it. But the problem that we will have is the implementation. We do not have to rush this particular project.
That's where the devil is, right?
Yes, that
in
is
the detail.
That is the devil in the details. If we rush it as we have done for previous policies, then we are going to be where we are again. And it's good. For the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about 24-hour economy. This is where we need a strong stakeholder policy and engagement to bring everybody on board, especially the industry players. The private sector is the one that is going to lead the 24-hour economy, not the public sector. The public sector is just to create the enabling environment for
and I believe when you listen to the former president, you listen to the measures that I brought to bear. If I have to reiterate them on what he says this policy will be like. And it's important that we take note of what they are saying so that should they get the opportunity, we hold them to it. Sure. He says it will be a 3-shift system by industries and commercial entities on a daily basis. Businesses will be encouraged to sign up, and that will come with tax incentives. So if you sign up, tax incentives will follow. There will be heightened security, lower electricity tariffs during peak hours, special meters to be deployed, and then it will be voluntary.
Yes, these are laudable ideas. We should put it as a policy. We should not rush in doing implementation. Right. It shouldn't be something that will go nationwide. There are places,
definitely you start from somewhere.
You start from somewhere. There are places that they will not need. We also have to find out where are the places that have competitive advantage in certain areas. So Cape Coast do not have enough industries. They are full of entertainment and tourist centers. Do we concentrate that in that particular area? If you come to Accra, entertainment industries and the rest are flourishing. If you go to Kumasi, those things are.
I mean, in the farming areas, I found it interesting when some people, stalwarts of some sort, have written to say, where do you go and have 24-hour farming? How about those who have mechanized their farming so that throughout the 24 hours it is working?
It is working.
We are failing to think.
It is possible that we do it. The only thing is that let us sit down, go through this policy, deliberate on it, and we find out what are the problems that will come in. Now, one thing that I have thought about with this 24-hour economy is that sometimes labor will be exploited.
Okay.
We need to look at it.
We need to protect labor.
We need to protect labor. That, the jobs are there. So if you cannot do it, somebody will come and do it. Okay. And so this is the amount of money that we are going to
That's a crucial point you make. It must be factored into any policy on that.
We must factor it into a new policy so that once we do that, it's going to make sure that we close all the loopholes so that everybody feels comfortable in coming on board. We have the family life going to be disrupted.
Okay.
So how do we bring policies in place to ensure that if the daddy is going to work in the night, the mommy is going to be at home? If you are a single parent, what systems are in place for you to keep your child during that particular time? So it's a holistic issue that we need to look at. We cannot say that it's not possible. It's very possible, as it is done in some other areas, and in Ghana we can equally do that. But the policy implementation, rushing to do it because we want to win political power, becomes the major
And we've seen that with free SHS.
Free SHS.
Brilliant policy, agreed, fantastic. The implementation has been the problem.
Look at e-levy.
Yeah.
Became a problem. Brilliant ones. Let us educate. Let's use the media. Discussions are done. So you pick what the public is saying, infuse it into your policy, go back to the stakeholders, look at what they have deliberated on it. They come out with the right out, bring it back to the public.
Right.
Once it comes back to the public, they will look at it. Let us hold the town hall meetings before the implementation.
Right.
Let's go to the schools educate them on how these things are going to work out. And once education takes precedent over all these things that we are doing, we'll see that the policy is very effective.
Brilliant points you've made there. Let me come to Professor Lord Mensah on this bit. Two quick things. One, how important is this process that Dr. Kawa speaks of, the buy-in from the people? Because I agree, a lot of the time it's like the e-levy, we're shoving it down your throat until they got to the point where they realized, okay, let's engage the people. Now town hall meetings were brought to bear, by which time it wasn't going to carry favor with the people. Even to today, if you look at the level of revenue that the e-levy is accruing or bringing in, you realize that there is some apathy towards it. How different could that have been if it had been brought in the other way? So how important is a buy-in for this? That's why we're having this discussion. And again, Professor Mensah, I'd like to find out, do we have the infrastructure, the backbone, the basics to start a 24-hour economy? We must start from somewhere, but do we have it? Prof.
Right. Let's also appreciate this before I answer your question. We need to understand that, the 24-hour economy policy will not be a standalone policy. If we treat it as a standalone policy, we cannot implement it. And that is why it has to go with education policy as well. And awareness is very, very important. For the reason being that, the current vice president indicated that, look, 24-hour economy is still ongoing. The question is, how many people are aware that we have 24-hour shift in the mining sector, we have 24-hour shift in the manufacturing sector, we have 24-hour shift, and as a result of that, if you work in the night, these are the incentives you get in the night. There are so many policies that
and if I may add, Prof, very briefly, if I may come in, sometimes we talk about health, the health sector. Go to our hospital facilities, the public ones, at night. Let's say from 10 or 11 or 12 to morning, and see what you will get there. That's the reality.
They're supposed to work in the night, but because the people have not been conscientized, sometimes they may be doing their own thing because they see the night to be kind of a burden. But apart from that, we also have to appreciate that the 24-hour economy must go hand in hand with the fiscal policies of the government of the day. And it has to go hand in hand with the monetary policy. The reason being that you cannot drum about 24-hour economy when interest rates are still high. You cannot drum about 24-hour economy, inflation is still high.
It appears we're struggling with the connectivity there when it comes to Professor Mensah's connection. Let's try this one more time. Professor Mensah, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Please go. Yes, go back about 5 seconds and then start again.
Right. So we cannot run 24-hour economy when interest rates are high. We cannot run 24-hour economy when you still have inflation to be high. Now, all these things has to do with government position. If government, who is implementing the 24-hour economy, will ensure that the fiscal policy tame down unnecessary expenditure, that will, call for, scrambling of funds on the market. You see, as we speak now, treasury bill rate, is so high that everybody gets his money. He wants to invest it in treasury bills. So where are those monies that will go into manufacturing? Where are those monies that will go into production so that you employ more people? No. So effectively, the economic position, would trigger, that 24-hour economy. And I'm happy, right, that it's been announced this time. Somebody will say, what about the timing? Why don't you wait and put some structures in place? No. That dealing with IMF historically has, given us the lesson that, look, when we are with IMF, inflation is able to come down. When we are with IMF, interest rates is able to come down. And if you look at, former President John Mahama's, announcement clearly it's going to have about 2 years within the IMF. Let's say next year, 2 years within the IMF program for these indicators to come down. And as
it's unfortunate the connection keeps doing this, but I think the point he was making then, he will have to confirm when he comes through, is that even in terms of implementation, it will require time, because even if the former president does secure power again, all these policy frameworks, which by now should be getting planned, will have to come to bear. It will have to be fed into a budget. And then, of course, it will be within the first period or the last period of an IMF program, which would also mean that certain indicators must move in a certain direction before implementation can actually happen. Prof, if you can hear me, I'll just let you sum up on that. Are you back, Prof? Okay, it appears we don't have Professor Mensah. Is there something you wanted to say on that quickly? I noticed very quickly, so I bring you.
We've been with IMF, and then we are cut off from the international financial market. Becomes very difficult. So the 24-hour economy is the one that will rake in the needed revenue and provide the growth that we need in our economy. Because as Lord Mensah, Professor Lord Mensah was saying, we're going to go into a program that we are with the IMF. As the indicators drop, it provides the enabling environment for the country to move on.
All right. Let me bring in Dr. Boakye Adom. So from where we've got to in the conversation, it is clear it's not about whether it's good. I think by and large, we accept that it's a positive direction to go into. But how do we do it to reap the utmost benefits? What's your take? Hello, Dr. Boakye Adom, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay. Did you get the question?
We look at best practices around and find out how we can bring it into the Ghanaian context. You know, in New Zealand in 2020, the government invested about $100 billion to be able to sustain the 9-time economy. You know, so we need funds is needed. You know, and looking at the fact that the IMF program brings a certain level of constraint, the government should target sectors, you know, that require minimal support to work within the 9-time economy. If it is about tax fiscal policy, if it's about providing security, the government can provide the needed security to be able to facilitate, the 9-time economy. And I think that if government decides to let's look at the tourism sector, they already operate in the 9th. How well can we make it safe for them? And I think that the 24-hour economy, in a way, will be able to minimize petty robbery. It is the large scale or the armed robbery that it will not be able to minimize, because if people are moving around, you know, the road is a busy road. It will, in a way, it details. It minimize the level of petty robbery on our roads, you know. So the 9-time economy is a good idea, but its implementation will require a thought-through policy, and it should be a gradual process. It should be sector-driven. It should be. We can take it sector by sector. We can take it maybe. Let's look at it from Accra. Let's implement in Accra. Let's see. Let's have a model city. You know, let's test it and see. It is not every city within, let's say, the developed countries that are doing this 24-hour economy.
True.
They have taken their time to look at it from city by city. But if we implement it on a large scale, when we have not put down the necessary structures to support it, you know, in a way, it's not going to succeed. It's not good, since we don't have the enough investment to be able to support it. So I'm thinking that we can look at it starting from Accra. You know, pilot it for about a year.
So when you say Accra, you also mean Tema in there, right?
Yes. And in greater part of Tema, because of the industries, they already operate, or some industries operate 24 hours. So we can focus on city by city or sector by sector and see how best we can implement this policy. But when it becomes a wholesale approach, just like the free SHS, we implemented on a nationwide and it's giving us a lot of problems. Because to implement a policy across the country will require a substantial investment. But when you are doing it on a piecemeal basis, in a gradual basis, the level of investment that is required will be minimal. So it is important that government look at the policy, and I'm also thinking that by next year, if the former president is serious about the 24-hour policy, he should be able to tell us how much it's going to cost us. It shouldn't be that when we get there, we'll cross, as has been in previous in time past, that we wait to get there, then we are struggling to get the needed funding. How much is it going to cost? What will be the approach of implementation? What are the sectors? Local government will play an important part in implementing these in a 24-hour economy. Are they resourced enough? Like I was talking about collection of market tolls. Can they go in the night to collect these taxes or tolls to support the local government development? I mean, so there's enough investment that needs to go in terms of manpower, in terms of our lighting system.
Right.
Are we going to provide enough lighting system to be able to ensure that people can move about their businesses in the night? So yes, we agree, but the implementation must be on a piecemeal basis, and it should be gradual, not a one-time implementation.
All right. Very quickly, I have to bring in Professor Lord Mensah because he actually has to take leave of us. You left off somewhere, Prof. Quickly wrap up with your comments, your add-on comments before you take leave of us, sir.
Yes, so what I was saying is that, you see, the 24-hour economy shouldn't be treated as a standalone policy. If we treat it as a standalone policy, we're going to fail big time, because you need businesses to have access to funds,
right,
to expand, to employ 24-hour, as expected. So that will boil down to government positioning. And that is where I was saying that, the monetary policy and then the fiscal policy must play a major role. We don't want a situation where we've announced 24-hour economy, but then government goes into reading budget, and the signal is that government would like to borrow from the market more than, the private man. So when it happens like that, where is going to be the expansion to employ, the people for the 24-hour economy? So from where I sit, we must situate this, 24-hour economy, policy in all our decisions. And that is why I made mention earlier that it should be the baseline for all government, policies. And that will go a long way to help.
Prof, thank you so much. You have to knock off, but we're very grateful that you took the time to join us this morning. Professor Lord Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School. Let me quickly come to Dr. Joseph Obeng of GUTA. When you look at this policy then, is this an opportunity from where you sit for the private sector? And is it something that you as GUTA will support, something you feel you can benefit from looking at your large membership?
Yeah, definitely. Let me give you one scenario. When you see a church having a convention in the night, where they have congregated a lot more people in the night, what do you see? You also see traders around, even in the night, deep in the night, because they have to sell water, they have to sell food, they have to sell other paraphernalia to them. So business and the trading that we do is not time-bound. We are seeking for the opportunities to move in, to maximize our lot. And so we can only support this laudable idea and then make it work. You understand? Because the trading is not time-bound, and that if we have space and time, and then the necessary infrastructure is provided for us in terms of security, because that's why other people are saying that this way were there. Yes, it were there, but because of security, it stopped, especially in the areas of transportation, the filling stations, and the pharmaceuticals and all that. If it had continued, it would have trickled down to other businesses. So let's provide the necessary infrastructure. And in the case of manufacturing sector, the manufacturing sector can thrive when there's incentives for them, where there's the taxes that they pay is lessened for them so that they can be competitive. Because if their produce is not competitive, They cannot even offload it to the consumers in Ghana, let alone exporting it. Then there's no need to even go on shift in the night. So creating the enabling environment is also very important. So yes, we have to do it, look it through, deliberate efforts to create the night market. And as I've already said, that we can also use legislature to move what creates nuisance in the afternoon or in the mornings to distract smooth businesses into the night. And by legislature, we can offload containers, cargoes in the night. The foodstuffs that we do, especially in the central business district. And I'm not talking about those warehouses in the outskirts. I'm talking about central business district where there's a lot of congestion. It cannot be said that once we are trading, we are at the same time offloading, and then it distracts our business for the day. So we can do that and then help to generate a lot of employment and then increase on productivity.
Let me bring in Charles Nyaba. In the immediate term, if we are to do something of this sort, especially focusing on the agric sector, what would you like to see? Let's say over a 2-year initial period. What are some of the actions you would like to see?
Okay, thank you so much. As I indicated earlier, the major challenge facing the sector at the moment has to do with labor. We are not getting labor, which is scaring private persons from going into the sector. So what we need to do is to begin to mechanize the sector to ensure that all our manual activities, as is done in developed countries like US, Brazil, and other places, you see young people going, you see one person being able to cultivate over 1,000 acres. But in Ghana, if you do a farm more than 50 acres, you are likely not to be able to harvest. Because in the first place, to even get the mechanized machineries to prepare the land is a problem. So we have to ensure that we provide incentives, credit incentives, for private people to be able to take credit with low interest rate, procure mechanized machineries like tractors, like plows, like planters, like harvesters. Once that is done, and then we create the enabling environment like the feeder routes, those machineries should be able to work both day and night. And then we also need to be able to automate the farming activities. If you take irrigation, for instance, you don't need people to be there to open water during daytime and then to check whether the canals are full before they close them. If you automate it, automatically, you know that around this time, this zone needs this quantity of water, then automatically the water moves to those areas. When we come to processing, we need to also ensure that we mechanize it and then provide the necessary logistics. Today, most of the rice mills that government supported people to buy are not operational because the energy cost is too high.
Right.
So how can we be able to introduce something like solar powered energy so that people will be able to produce at daytime using the
electricity.
The electricity, and then in the nighttime, at least they can switch to solar.
Right.
Once you do all those things, to me, I think we'll see more young people going into farming, and then we increase our agriculture contribution to GDP.
Let me come now into the studio, and we'll be taking the final words of each one of you. You will have a maximum of about 1 minute as we wrap the conversation. I'll start with you, Dr. Seyram Kawo. So we've discussed everything from the agricultural sector to the economy. Brilliant suggestion Charles Nyaba just put through. For example, how are we also going to look at energy solutions so that even in the agri sector and other sectors, in terms of maximizing electricity, the former president has said there'll be peak hours for those who subscribe, there'll be even lower tariffs and all of that. But even beyond that, any rational business would want to save as much as possible on power. Would we make it possible for people to go solar, for example, on a large scale, so that when they are using electricity, even past peak hours or another period within the day or night, they can switch to solar and still maximize the benefits? What will be your concluding words?
You see, when you listen to the one from the agri sector,
Charles Nyaba, right.
Brilliant ideas. It tells us that money is the one that is going to drive the economy. And we need the financial sector on board.
Okay.
This is a project that cannot be executed without the financial sector. The financial sector needs an amount of sunshine on the things that they are going to do, their investment, how they are going to reap the benefits from the investment. And so the multifaceted nature of the entire 24-hour process must come on board.
Right.
And we still call on the stakeholders to be on board. Stakeholder engagement with the financial sector, insurance must come in. So when all these sectors meet together, they will be able to fashion out how credit, even in an economy where we have high interest rates, credits to the agri sector and those sectors that will be producing during the night or the 24-hour economy, they will be able to benefit. Let's remember, as the 24-hour economy is thriving in other countries, the investors in those countries are looking for further opportunities to invest. And so once we formalize it, we will get a lot of foreign direct investment coming in, and then jobs will be created.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Dr. Kawal. Let me come to Dr. Boakye Adam. What would be your final comments or final commentary as far as this issue is concerned? You have a maximum of 1 minute, sir. Dr. Boakye Adam.
Yes, so I should say that any policy that usually comes with a sharp contrast from especially the opposition party shows that it's a good policy. But probably its implementation that needs to be looked at. Now, this 24-hour economy shows that there's a new thinking, and that if it is well implemented, it will shape employment dynamics, it will shape the Ghanaian economy, and it will expand the face of the Ghanaian economy. So it is important that it's implemented well. Just the same way the year of return yielded a certain results, although diaspora has been coming to Ghana, December in Ghana is also, in a way, bringing in some foreign investment, and diaspora into Ghana, and is boosting the Ghanaian economy. If we give this 24-hour economy the needed attention and the implementation, I think that it is going to yield a certain level of results. However, there are real challenges that need to be dealt with. There are real challenges that the government, or questions the government need to, the former president need to answer before implementing. But I would advocate on any day that the government should be implement this on a pilot basis and not to rush through in its implementation.
Thank you, Dr. Boakye Adam, for those succinct comments. Let me come now to Dr. Joseph Obeng. What will be your parting comments for us, sir? Hello, Dr. Obeng, if you're with us. Final words.
Yeah, we are bracing ourselves for any opportunities that come our way. If the opportunity will come in the night, in the morning, in the afternoon, we are up to grab it. Yes, and so if it is good, then we have to do it fast. We have to think through. Even for now, we have to start the pilot projects. If you are serious about it, the areas that we have long queues and all that, we should make the timing so that people can be booked in the night and all that, so that the unnecessary long queues and all that can be served as a pilot basis. And because we don't even have to wait till the former president come to power before we start doing this. If it is good, it is good. We have to embrace it and make the best out of it. That's it.
Thank you for your thoughts. Charles Nyaba, you have the final word in there. If there's anything else that you want to add, Mr. Nyaba.
Yeah, my question is for our leaders, especially the political leaders, to learn to receive or discuss politics objectively without looking at where those policies are coming from. And I would question the Vice President you realize that majority of Ghanaians are in for the 24 hours economy. We don't really care whether it's being proposed by the opposition or the ruling party. Once it's good, they should welcome it. Secondly, there should be broad consultation. We have seen in the past where policies like this are not properly consulted, the main actors or beneficiaries who are supposed to ensure implementation are left out during drafting of the policy stage. So if the former president really mean business, before they put this in their manifesto, we would advise that they should do broad consultation, especially the private sector, because we are the main drivers of these policies. So if you don't consult broadly, maybe there are certain issues that you need to put in place before you can successfully implement. So if you don't consult broadly, you may not check those issues in the policy document.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. You just heard Charles Nyaba, Executive Director, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. We also had on board Dr. Joseph Obeng, President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA for short. In the studio, we had Dr. Sairam Kawa, Senior Lecturer, UCC School of Business. Before that, we also had Dr. Eric Boachi-Yadom, Senior Lecturer, Banking and Finance Department at the University for Professional Studies, Accra, and Professor Lord Mensah, Associate Professor of Finance, UGBS. Charles Nyaba made mention of it at the end, the politicization of policies, and it's from here, so we must go against it. It's from there, so we must go against it. I think by and large, from academia, from big business, and even from the media, it is clear that there is something good in the 24-hour economy. The implementation is where the devil is. Well, moving on from here, we're also going to be catching up with the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. It took place over the weekend from Thursday to Sunday. Excitement galore, I should say. And we're going to be assessing basically what the aftermath has brought to us. Also to come, we'll tell you about The Gods Are Not to Blame. It's a George Quay play. We'll be telling you a bit more about that. All of that after the break. Welcome back on the AM show. The gods are not to blame. So whom are we to blame? Well, that is a beautiful cinematic experience, should I say play, that we're going to be having over the weekend. And the man behind it, in recent times, he's come up with a few things, and I see that he's been warming up. He's getting into the space. George Quay is our guest, producer, director, and he's waiting. Producer, director?
We do a lot of things. We wear many hats.
Yeah.
For this one, yes, producer, director.
Okay, all right. So tell us about this play. Many decades ago,
yes,
we got that from Olarotimi, and
yes,
you're bringing it back.
Yes, I think Olarotimi wrote it in about, 1968.
Thereabouts.
And it's an original Greek play, Sophocles.
Yes.
Oedipus Rex.
Yes.
That's the original play.
Yes.
And Olarotimi did a very beautiful adaptation. And, we've seen people stage it. We've even seen staged editions from Nigeria. We've seen various editions from Ghana. But I don't think anybody has done justice to the work, that beautiful work put together.
Hey, George.
By Olarotimi.
Sir?
Yeah, nobody, not even from Nigeria.
You're saying what you're about to deliver over this weekend is going to be spectacular,
it's actually
fantabulous,
even like the script itself. Hey. That I can assure you. And I wish Olarotimi were alive to see it.
Wow.
I'm daring every Nigerian in Ghana to join us at the National Theatre this weekend to see The Gods Are Not to Blame and score us. Trust me, if you come and you're not blown away, request for a refund.
Now, the original play, and when I read that play way back, I actually had to go back. I think I may have even read the Greek.
Yes, the Greek.
Sophocles.
Yeah, Sophocles.
Oedipus Rex.
Yeah.
And the whole bit about the person who is born and destined to supplant his father.
The
kill him and actually marry his mother.
Yeah.
That story
and have children with his mother and all that. Yeah.
And they tried their best to prevent it.
They did. They did, and it shows how powerless we are when it comes to the will of God. I mean, and what I like about this story is that it does not necessarily speak about the supreme being as God, as Christians would want us to believe, but it speaks about an authority in your life and the concept of fate and destiny.
I was just about to mention it. What is fated is fated.
Fated is fated. You cannot, there is nothing you can do. And it's actually stated right there. When Odewale, somebody tells him the butterfly thinks himself an elephant. Sorry. The butterfly thinks himself a bird. You know, these days, butterflies and elephants are
I'm tempted to believe you did that intentionally.
No. It was just a slip. You know, the butterfly thinks himself a bird, so he goes to consult an oracle, and the oracle told him that it had been willed he would kill his father and marry his mother. Yeah. He asked the oracle what he could do to ensure it didn't happen. The oracle told him to stay where he was. If he had stayed, it wouldn't have happened.
But in attempting to flee.
Because he thought at that time the people that he were with were his actual parents, but they weren't. Because his actual parents had already given him away to be killed because of
that hadn't been done.
That hadn't been done. So they gave him away, and then he had grown with a separate group of people he thought were his parents. And when the oracle now told him this, in order to make sure it didn't happen, he ran away. And guess where he went? He went back to the village.
The very place.
Charlie, fate, man. And what we are doing with this, with the kind of legends that we have on stage, and for me, it's beyond just the theatrical expression. I connect to this. This is the play that actually made me fall in love with theater. My dad took me to Fansperm School to be a lawyer. He wanted me to go through university, go through law school, become a lawyer. I went to Fansperm School. Somebody got me into the theater drama club. I got to play the lead role in this play, and I haven't looked back since.
Wow. And that's why I always say, look, don't compel, because everyone has his or her own. Back then in school, they wanted me to read science. You know, when you got a certain aggregate, they wanted to push you.
Yeah.
I like the sciences and the mathematics. It's just not my.
It's just not.
It's just not my
fate
area.
And destiny.
Fate and destiny.
You will find your
They will
path.
conspire to get you there.
And you know the interesting thing? To date, I have not forgotten. I can recite that book from cover to cover. No joke.
Wow.
Yeah, from cover to cover. No joke. And when Nashoko managed to get me back, when I left Charterhouse, I decided to run MH Bureau, do events, advertising, PR here and there. Then Nashoko managed to get me back into theater. And almost every time I pick up another play to stage, it's like a voice is calling, when are you doing this one? When are you doing this one? When are you doing this one? You know. So my former boss at Charterhouse, Mr. Yola, they came to see our last play, A Detective Calls. After the play, he gives us thumbs up. He said he would score it 9 over 10. We've done a lot of foreign works. I like adaptations.
What's the Spanish one you adapted recently?
No, it's actually British. It's An Inspector Calls. That's the original.
No, but there was another one.
That was Latif.
That was Latif.
That was Globe Productions.
What I would like.
5 hours with Mario. Good, beautiful one.
That brings to mind. This is what I actually wanted to pitch to you. La vida es sueño.
Yeah.
Life is a dream.
Life's a dream. They did that recently.
I think it's something that you could
They
also.
did that recently.
La vida es sueño.
Yeah. No,
I've seen adaptations, but somehow I still feel because some of us in school, because we read Spanish, we got to read
some of these things.
and the real feel of the book. You know how sometimes you read a book and when it's acted you see different.
Yep. And that is what
you're looking for something.
That is what I've been telling you about The Gods Are Not to Blame. Trust me, anybody who has read it in school before, anybody who has seen it staged before, this is going to change your mind.
What is going to be different about it?
Let's start with the cast. When was the last time you saw David Onto on stage?
David.
Not on screen. It's Ghana man.
It's been a
David
while.
Onto.
It's been a
When was
while.
the last time you saw Fred Amugi on stage? When was the last time you saw
my own uncle?
When was the last time you saw Mauli Semevo on stage?
Mauli, I think I've seen him, but not very recently.
And I'm sure you've seen that beautiful talent that Uncle Ebo White has managed to nurture so well, Andrew Tando.
Yes.
You've seen him on stage a number of times, but trust me, you haven't seen him.
We've never seen him like this.
We've never seen him like this. You will see a person on stage that looks like Andrew Tando Adote, but you will not believe it's Andrew Tando Adote because what this play has done to him physically, emotionally.
Are we talking gladiator stuff where you see Russell Crowe and the Russell Crowe that in a way, respectfully, is a bit flabby, now is all muscular?
Andrew has gone on a diet. and just hit the gym.
You're taking it that seriously?
No. We've actually flown in somebody from South Africa purposely to help with a few special effects. So yeah, we are pushing the
Sounds interesting.
No, it is.
I will be there.
Crazy. You should be there.
When are the dates to look out for?
It's this weekend, 2nd and 3rd of December. There are 2 shows each day at the National Theatre, 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. And we start on time. So if you're there 4:05, you're going to miss a very, very important opening. The opening itself is a spectacle. We're turning the National Theatre into some kind of a circus. The opening itself is something else on its own, and all the, you're going to feel the lightning on stage. You're going to feel the fire on stage. You're going to feel the energy on stage. And I don't even know what to say. Just be there. Just be there.
Okay.
Be there.
And I know, where can people grab tickets from?
Yes, tickets are going for just 150 Ghana cedis. You can get some from Pinkberry stores. You can get some from Nalem stores at the malls. You can get it from Frankie's, Koala, and then Starbites branches. You can get
all branches?
All branches. And then you can also get it digitally. We have digital access. We have a USSD code. That's star 711 star 11 star 25 hash.
I think you'd need to slow down on that so that our viewers can. Star 711.
Star 711 star 11 star 25 hash.
Okay, so that's, again, I'll repeat, star 711 star 11 star 25 hash.
And then you can also visit our website, www.imagebureaugh.com. You can get it.
And your promise, your pledge is that
if you are not blown away, request a refund. If you're not, and if you're blown away, and if you're blown away and you love it, you can pay extra.
You can pay extra.
Look, a play that I said I acted as far back as 2002, 2003, and I haven't forgotten the lines. You should know what I want to do with it. Or you want to challenge me to recite the lines for you?
Give us a few lines.
Oh,
give us a few lines.
I wish you had the book here so you could open any page. Because
which character did you play though? Did you play the lead? Okay.
Yeah. Because all lizards lie prostrate. How can a man tell which lizard suffers from bellyache? In time, the pain will make one of them lie flat on its back. Then shall that which has been unknown be made known. Minds are not plain, my people. Evildoers are many in this our very town. Evildoers backed by heavy money, heavy influence. Oh, the manner of your former king Aditusa's death is all too clear to me now. Bribery. Oh yes, men with money bribed debtor villains to kill King Aditusa, and then with their influence, they buried his memory so that we would not be able to. Charlie, you be there, come on, let's.
Check like you did not Ghana politics.
You mean 24 hours?
Charlie, but this sounds exciting. I will be there. It's not one of those things where I will be there. Yeah. Because this very thing, from Oedipus Rex to the gods are not to blame, to this, the last time I was there, it was also in support of our very own Rosalind Felly. She had an adaptation of The Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah.
We grew up on The Sound of Music.
I know.
So I went there and I was just there.
Yeah.
A deer, a female deer, Ray, and all those things were just coming back. So I love these adaptations. I am going to be there. So should you. 2nd and 3rd December.
2nd and 3rd December, 4 p.m.
and 8 p.m.
National Theatre, you've got to be there. Let me say thanks to the Multimedia Group for the support. I mean, your partnership over the years has been tremendous. And not to forget Ebony Condoms and Stanbic Bank as well. Neplans Car Rental, IPMC, McPhillips Foods, and all the people that have supported us, our Wake Natural Mineral Water, all our media partners. And of course, April Communications, Nashoko, and the National Theatre for the partnerships. And to all the anonymous donors that have generously supported us on this one, we're eternally grateful to each and every single one of you. I mean, we're going to do our best to impress you. You're going to love this one, trust me.
Big ups, bro.
Thank you.
This one,
again, come with a pen and paper. If you are not blown away, request a refund.
Oh, this alone has blown me away, so I can trust that on that day. I'll be super blown away. But that's how it's going to be. 2nd and 3rd December, 4 p.m., 8 p.m. National Theatre is going down. George Quay together with his crew. It's all about the gods are not to blame. Olarotimi, but we're bringing it to you live in our own way on that day. Well, do stay. We'll be back after the break as we also explore what happened at the National Theatre. the Accra International Conference Center for the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. If you missed it, you missed so much. The seminars and everything. I mean, I facilitated one on the superstructure. So when you've put together the substructure, the superstructure you put on it, and finishing, and the sort of people we spoke to, from those who would provide energy to solar solutions, to construction, to interior and exterior decor, to water solutions. But look, we're going to bring you some bits about what we did there and how you can still benefit from some of those packages. That will be after the break as we give you the aftermath of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair.
Came, they saw and enjoyed the big discounts on offer, with Comet's Properties giving as much as 70% discounts on its serviced plots. Our patrons were definitely spoiled for choice. Here are some of them.
My name is Abuaji.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here on the final day. I've not been here for long, but so far so good. With just a few stands visited, you have a lot of range, whether from land or the construction or everything that you need. And it's much better than going from place to place in Accra with all the hustle and traffic and what have you. So it's a great show. I've been coming for a couple of years now, and I'm sure I'll keep coming.
Okay. My name is Tieku. And you know, Joy Habitat Fair is a big fair. I've been coming every year. Okay. And it's a good thing. I love it. I pray that in future it will grow big and big and big. Okay. So that more people will see what we have here in Ghana so that we can network. True. That's my belief.
Great. I see you have a lot of leaflets and stuff.
Yes, like I do every year. Okay. I've collected some few brochures and I've bought some few items too. So I will...
You'll be calling them?
Calling them, yes, and then do some purchase. Even my plumber will follow up, God willing, tomorrow for some few plumbing shops that I've met, and then we'll go for their product as well.
Frida. Yeah, I like what I see. I think it's a very good exhibition. Yeah, I think you should continue because it brings a lot of people together and you can be able to make your choices here.
I have been an ardent follower of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Okay. I think from 2018 where it was organized at the Providence Event Center at Trade Fair.
Yeah,
I've been following you, even for the mini clinics and all that.
Wow.
And then I'm always looking out for the grand one.
Wow.
And that's why I'm here today. And I like this year's theme. And I think there are very juicy offers around. Looking for a property so I can also take decisions on other things.
Okay.
It's a one-stop shop, and that is what gladdens my heart. Ordinarily, it would be difficult for you to go through all these companies based on where they are located in this heavy traffic in Accra. So, Joy FM, kudos.
Real estate investment opportunities in Ghana, and sometimes due to busy schedule, it's hard for me to explore. So, being here, I've been able to meet a number of real estate developers that have lucrative opportunities. I'm always looking for land opportunities, buildings to build, and all of that. So it's been a great opportunity.
The exhibitors were also excited with the big sales and exchange of contacts. Here are some of our first timers.
Yes, so this is Swami India Ghana Limited. We are the owners of Springfield Estates. We have Springfield Estates, we have Paradise Estates, we have Solaris Apartments, and we have Solarium Apartments.
Okay, where's Springfield Estate located?
We are located in Pram.
Pram, okay.
Yes, we are not far from the Mutual Junction. Yes, it's been amazing. We've had a couple of leads here. People have come. We've also got to understand the markets, how the market is running in Ghana now.
Through the interaction with our patrons.
Yes, through the interactions, and also you had some symposiums talking about land acquisitions, and it's been very educative.
How is it going so far?
Oh, by God's grace, we are doing very well. Since Thursday we've been here, we've got a lot of customers, got a lot of calls to come over to their site to their measurements. Really?
I don't know if you've seen that video of the former Black Stars captain, Stephen Appiah, saying they are calling. They are calling.
Everybody's calling. My line
Everybody's calling. Your line.
We thank to Joy FM and EcoBank for having this fair this year. Yeah. We are very grateful for that. Yeah.
Okay, great. ABS Glazing, are you giving any discounts to our patrons?
A very good discount from now to the end of the year, up to 15% discount on all our products.
Yeah. So very brief remarks from Mr. Edu, one of our partners, Cities and Habitats. You've been with us for about 3 years now. Thank you for the collaboration. You give us some brief remarks.
As always, we have quite a number of people passing through, expressing interest, and quite a number end up signing on. We have no regrets at all for the Planned Cities Extension Project or Cities and Habitats. Our association with the Multimedia Group and Joy News, Joy FM and the other platforms have been extremely and immensely beneficial.
Next, we want to take some brief remarks from our Sales and Customer Service General Manager. When I say that, I mean Multimedia Sales and Customer Service General Manager, Mr. Max Fuga. Please, let's appreciate him with a round of applause.
I can assure you that the next edition, we're going to add 2 more regions. Mr. Edu has already added 1, so we'll add the second one. And of course, we'll add some international touch to it. So Habitat Fair 2024 will be bigger and better. And again, we'll cover more regions than we did this year. On behalf of the management of the multimedia team, and of course, the organizers, and particularly those who made it possible for us, our sponsors, our partners, and of course, all of you. We say a very big thank you to you for making this year's edition a successful one.
Some of the exhibitors represented with awards and certificates of participation.
Welcome back on the AM show. Yes, I had George Quay in the studio telling us about the gods are not to blame. You ought to check out that one. But there he was again in Step Up every weekend on Prime. Joy Prime, I should say. But anyway, this is the point at which on the show we'd like to pick your thoughts. Now, this morning, the major discussion has been on the 24-hour economy. I think listening to our guests, from academia in economics, to finance, to agriculture, to all the other aspects. We even had Guta joining the conversation. The point is, it's a good thing. They've given their buy-in, all 5 of my guests. But how will we implement it, regardless of which party is implementing it? Whether NDC or MPP, we don't care. How will we make the most of it for Ghana? Call me, share your thoughts with me, and if there are any peculiar issues in your community, you can share with me as well. Let me know. 0302-211-691. 0302-211-691. What are your thoughts? Let me know. In the interim, let me wish a very happy birthday, lest I forget, to Clara and Clarinda Kawo. You're twins, Clara Kawo and Clarinda Kawo. Today happens to be your birthday, and you are sisters to Dr. Sairam Kawo. He was in the studio with us. A very happy birthday to you. Let me also reiterate to Cecil Gabra, as top CEO in driving, in the driving context, driving technology context at the Ghana CEO Awards. We congratulate you as well. And to Elegant Homes and Construction Limited for that latest gong that you got in. Let me just clarify. I don't want to say anything that is not. at the Ghana Property Awards, the best residential developer, middle income luxurious. Congratulations to all of you. If you're minded to share your thoughts with us, we have just about some 4 or 5 minutes to do that maximum. You can call that number 0302 211 691. 0302 211 691. I also want you to share your thoughts, if you're minded to do so, on the story. 2 in every 5 women have suffered intimate partner violence. I'm not the one saying it. It is the Ghana Statistical Service. It's something I was drumming home this morning. But we have our first caller from Kaswa, AK. Good morning, AK. Hello, AK. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
Good to hear from you. What are your thoughts for us this morning on the AM show?
Good morning, Ben. Yes, and your cherished, yes.
AK, don't listen to me on the TV. Don't listen to me on the TV. Listen to me on the phone. And let's go. If you listen to me on the TV, there'll be a break. So just go ahead.
Yes. Hello. Yes, I want to contribute to the 24-hour program. Hello.
Go ahead, AK.
Yes. And my take is about security. Because when you implement it, the criminals around will also have their own agenda and modus operandi change. And one thing is, it is not going to affect the individual organization or factories. It is going to affect the workers, because you see, the workers are going to be traced to their houses even in the night, and the police cannot give the individuals.
Have you followed the discussion on security as far as the 24-hour proposal is concerned? Because if you had listened, you would have realized that all of this was addressed in there. Did you follow the discussion on that?
No, not yet.
Okay, so there has been talk, even in the implementation, in terms of what has been proposed, there has been talk about security. Let me just get you a sneak peek of some of what has been actually proposed. Heightened security will be provided for safer cities and thereby, in effect, boost tourism. It's also been said by my guests that once we're going to implement this, we'll need more security officers, more police officers and all of that to stand guard at these places to ensure that businesses and employers are safe.
I agree with you. But the thing is, I have a different view, even with the security aspect. More. So it means we are going to pay more for the additional security officers. But my point is that we have to take the community policing concept seriously. Because, yes, it involves the community. And we cannot involve the members of the community. And this community policing concept should hang around the experiences of security officers, retired police officers, retired army generals, retired army personnel, retired police, fire service, immigration, and others. Retired security, yes. So I am speaking from experience, because this one will help the the ideas that are cropping up. The community policing concept is very, very important here.
All right. Thank you, AK. Let me also bring in Michael from Bekwai. Hello, Mike.
Yes, Mr.
Yes, good morning. What are your thoughts for us this morning?
Yeah, my thought on the 24-hour economy is a game changer. Directly, it's a game changer, and it is going to help address the unemployment challenges in the country, because even the 8 hours has not been utilized to its fullness. So having the 24-hour economy concept with all the security and all the other issues addressed, is a way that is going to help the youth in the country. In fact, it will even address the illegal mining, and all those distractions that have been limited to the natural resources in the country. So I don't think anybody who has Ghana at heart should fight against this policy. In fact, if there are other things that are not being shipped well, I think we should all come on board, profile solutions that can make the policy better than chastising it as if it is a bad thing. Because at the end of it all, if you are rich in your own home, or if you have something to eat, if you are what to do, and a number of people, your neighbors around you, are living in abject poverty, you are also insecure. Because at the end of the day, at night, the people may just raise, cutlasses and other stuff and come and rob you. So we should all come on board, provide solutions today, so that if your neighbors are working and you're also working, you will feel at ease. There won't be any need of, erecting walls and all that defenses around our homes.
Right.
Yeah, so that is my view, that we should all support what John Mahama is suggesting and offer solutions where we think we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling through to share your thoughts. So far we've heard from AK and from Mike. We have Abendao from Kumasi. Abendao, it's been quite a while. You are our final caller. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, it's a good morning. And how are you doing?
I'm well. Hope you are too.
Yeah, I'm also well. But where is Benny? I haven't seen her.
Abendao, you'd have to speak up a bit.
I was rather asking of Benny.
Bernice, you will see her one of these days for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, any good policy or thing has some challenges that must come along with. So this one, there may be some challenges, but let's also see the benefits or the positive side, so that we can try and all of us come on board and see how workable and practicable and reality that it will be, so that if it will be beneficial, then that will be good, so that it will not be like we have a period of transacting business, and after that period or that hours, then everything is closed down, among others. So I think as we are moving forward, we also must also come on board with some policies and programs that will be unique, and then so that we consider the positive side and then see how possible we can work also against the negative side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abendao, for sharing your thoughts. And that's how we're going to cap off the show this morning. We're glad that some of you could take the time to actually pick up the phone and give us a call. We always, always, always appreciate that. But from us to you, we love you. Thank you for joining us on the AM show. We'll be doing this again, same time tomorrow, here to serve God and country, you. Because guess what? We are because you are. But stay with us. Up next, Joy News Desk. We're going to be bringing you all the tidbits from Ghana and beyond. Everything you need to know by way of the news at the top of the hour. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Thank you for watching. Well, this is where I say goodbye. Have a wonderful day.